Cathal, good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
Morning to you all down Mallow Way. Listen, as a 22-year-old student in the College of Commerce, you've had an interesting life up until now, I can tell you. Right back at the beginning, when you were born as an amputee, which means you were born minus one limb, am I right?
Yes, that would be correct.
Is that your arm?
Yeah, so basically what happened was, if you can imagine, just the placenta wrapped around my arm and then cut off the blood supply, and then it just kind of stunted the growth of it.
Is that like from the elbow or above it or whereabouts?
Yeah, just below the elbows where it happened.
That was a challenge then from the very beginning. I mean, talk to me a little bit about when you were a kid and growing up. You must have been very limited, were you?
In primary school, it didn't really affect me that much. Like I obviously understood that people kind of looked at me differently, but then when I got into secondary school, it would have affected me more, just kind of from my own self-esteem, really.
Did you think that you weren't fitting in or something? Were you self-conscious?
Yeah, like throughout secondary school, I'd have always felt like the odd man out, and like even doing like sports and stuff, which I'd be fairly passionate about. I always kind of felt different.
Yeah.
So like playing stuff like badminton and things like that in like when you'd be doing PE, which I absolutely hated. But,
yeah. Did people comment?
Not like you'd have one or two, but it wouldn't be anything major.
Good.
Like there wouldn't nothing major like bullying or anything like that.
Good,
so.
Good. Well, you had to wait until 16. Is that the way it is in this country? And at 16, you were given one of the cosmetic prosthetics, isn't it?
See, what happened was when I was in primary school, like I would get a bionic arm. I think I went through maybe 2 or 3 of them, if not 4.
What are they? Bionic? Do they move?
Bionic, yeah. Like the fingers move and it like opens and closes and does like what a hand would do.
How does it do that? I mean, how does one send commands like that?
There's like little sensors on the inside of the prosthetic that if you like tighten, say, missing limb, then it'll close for like an arm. But then if you tense your arm, it'll close. But then if you release the tension, it'll open.
Amazing. So that allowed you to pick things up and put them down, but not right,
yeah.
For instance, with that arm, no?
No, I'd have always been left-handed writing.
Gotcha. And then you'd outgrow those and it would need replacing as you grew rapidly.
Yeah, so you say, for example, if you went up in January, they'd interview you, they'd talk a bit to you and stuff like that, and then you might come up maybe 3 or 4 weeks later and you get a fitting done, and then you might have to come up a couple of weeks after that, but then that fitting would be different to the fitting that you would get, like your arm would have grown a bit more in that time, but then say when you get the prosthetic, then your arm is growing again, so that you only get, like, they will allow for a little bit of wiggle room, but by the time you get the prosthetic, you only would have a couple of weeks left of it before you grow too big for it. So I think me and my parents decided when I was like maybe 8 or 9, I was kind of tired of going up and down to Dublin fairly frequently and only getting a couple of weeks out of these prosthetics. Like I enjoyed having them, but I was like, there's no point in doing this consistently.
No, I know, it makes no sense unless they invented ones that were adjustable, that adjusted with growth,
Yeah. But then I think around 15, 16, I kind of wanted one again just to feel some bit of normality. And when I went up to, where did I go? I went to the Mercy in Cork. And I was asked by a doctor, he was like, why do you need one? Like, it wasn't as if, why do you need one? Like, explain what you want us to do is kind of like, why do you need one? As in, like, you don't really need one, if that makes sense. As if, because you only get one, since the crash, I think you only get one prosthetic. And then after that, you have to pay for them yourself.
But that seems like a ridiculous question to ask somebody with one arm. Why do you want a prosthetic?
And the thing is, like, most of the staff there are lovely, but you have these people with 2 hands or 2 legs making decisions for people with 1 arm or 1 leg or no hands or no legs.
You must have found that upsetting. Did your folks find it upsetting?
Yeah, my parents were in the room with me and they were kind of shocked as well.
But you,
Yeah,
but did they agree to give you one?
yes, they
A
like I
non-functioning
like
one. It's just
it was
purely
kind of,
cosmetic.
yeah, I was kind of like fighting tooth and nail for something that does nothing, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. It's actually disgraceful that you'd have to fight like that. But
It is what it is.
but yeah, well, it shouldn't be. So you did get it. It's non-functioning, um, but over time, then you grew out of that. And of course, technology has changed drastically since then, hasn't it? I came across just googling some research ahead of my conversation with you. A thing called a myoelectric arm. You aware of that?
Yes,
Now
yes,
we're talking big bucks here. We're talking 70 grand to 100 grand, I believe.
yeah, absolutely.
Is it around 70 grand?
My one is about 50.
50. Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
there might be the myoelectric arm with different functions, perhaps. Is that what it is?
yeah, yeah. Like I went to there's a place in Granabar. They're a company called Ottobock, and they do prosthetics. And I went up to them in May of last year, and I just asked, I just said what I wanted it to do and what I needed it to do, and they came back with that price.
So
So
Ottobock in Cork,
yeah,
in Granabrahor, make these. What are they? Are they electric?
yeah. I think you charged them.
And does it do
Yeah,
everything that your arm and your elbow and your fingers do and your wrist?
yes. It'd be a carbon copy of my left hand.
And would you have that for life then?
Yes, yes. Obviously, I'd insure it and stuff like that. So,
But you can't
um,
get that through the HSE, no?
no,
Do any
no.
countries give that kind of technology and limb replacement on their National Health Service?
Yeah, I think yeah, the UK do it.
But we don't.
The UK, no, we don't.
That should change, Cathal, shouldn't it?
Yeah, like yeah, like I've never understood why why amputees or like even people who are in accidents um need to fight for something that other people have.
Well, I
I
have
don't know.
two arms and two legs, so like you should have the next best thing as well. That's what we pay our
Yeah,
taxes for. I'm sure that's what your parents paid tax for. So you're in College of Commerce doing accountancy, aren't you?
yeah,
What are you now? About 22?
yeah. 22.
And
I'm
has
23 in December.
and how you doing with the GoFundMe? You've got some amount of money done or collected already, have you?
Yeah, I nearly have 5,000 raised. I think it's 4,800 and something. The last time I checked it. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing, the generosity of people, really.
And Ottobock will meet with you when you have the dosh. They'll design it. They'll do the fitting to your specification.
Yeah, yeah. And then you'll need training on it then as well. So I think that's 4 months of training, if I can remember correctly.
And what kind of difference will it make to your life then when you have this and you strap it on the Bionic Man?
Like it'll just, well, one, it'll give me confidence, and then two would be kind of like just that I'm going into like a job application or for interviews and stuff like that, and just that I don't feel inferior or something like that. So that I'm kind of equal, because like I don't expect an employer to take me on when someone else twice can do twice the amount of work that I can do.
Well,
In
how can you? Like, it's accountancy you're going into. You're not building houses.
I know that, but you need to be able to type, and you need to move fast with computers and stuff like that. So I know like discrimination in the workplace is illegal and stuff like that, but I just feel like sometimes when I am going for interviews for jobs or stuff like that, that it doesn't always
You're
I
not
don't
always
always feel
chosen,
equal.
is what you're saying, to be honest and be
Yeah,
blunt about it, is
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Or like we're not hiring, and then I might see someone new working in that place like 2 weeks later or something like that. I'm like, seems a bit. funny to me. But anyway,
Well, it is discrimination in the manner in which they tell you.
yeah,
They would be much better off if they were an awful lot honest in the way that they said that they wouldn't have a position for you. They could explain by saying there are a lot of jobs that you wouldn't be able to do without both hands, and one of those would
yeah,
be laptops and spreadsheets and typing and things like that. Wouldn't that be fairer?
yeah, exactly. I'd much rather that than being waiting for a phone call that's not going to come.
That's not going to come. I think that's terribly sad. It's not as. Does it get you down?
Sometimes, but I mean, you've kind of got to get back up and keep on going. Really, like it is sad, but it is what it is. And yeah, hopefully now, if we can get this prosthetic, that it would be able to.
And if you get the
Um,
prosthetic, will it also boost your confidence?
yeah, yeah, it definitely would. Like I feel like I'm kind of tired of feeling like the odd one out,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
And if I can have two arms, then because like even something as simple going for like a handshake or something, do you know, like most people shake with their
Right.
right hand, yeah. So then I'd have to shake with my left because obviously there's nothing on my right, and then I'd twist my arm, and then they kind of feel awkward. So something even as simple, I know we shouldn't be shaking hands independently,
Yeah, but
but
I know what
you
you
know,
mean. What you're saying is
yeah,
the things that the rest of us just take for granted and do automatically,
yeah,
you cannot do.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
Jez, you've had a lot to deal with in the last 22 years. Wouldn't it be great to get this over the line, to get everybody sharing your GoFundMe? We'll obviously do it on our social media channels and get everybody else to share it and give it a couple of months and see how it goes.
yeah, absolutely. It would be fantastic.
Okay, well, let's take on this project, shall we? And do the level best we can to get you to 50k, is it?
Yeah, or as close to it as possible would
Yeah.
be
You never know, we might get a discount from Autobot. What do you think?
fantastic. We'll see. We'll see.
We give them a few free
Yeah.
plugs. We get a couple of grand off it, maybe. What do you think?
I don't know about that one.
All right. Well,
We'll
listen.
see.
You know, the quiet priest never got a parish. We'll see what happens in that regard. But
Yeah.
Cathal, we're going
Okay.
to drive on the GoFundMe, and you stay in touch, all right? And we'll be talking again.
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. Thank you.
Take care, Cathal. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye. Bye. Bye.